Who remembers that time just before an England game when Daniel Sturridge realised that he accidentally told Adam Johnson to look after his kids instead of Glenn Johnson? Who remembers that disgusting time when Roberto Firmino scored a goal and then decided to celebrate by mocking all one-eyed people worldwide? Who remembers that time when Wayne Rooney was knocked unconscious after he lost a fight against Tottenham's trophy cabinet? Who remembers that tragic time when a footballer was subject to a brutal attack from an opposition player which resulted in him having to retire from football after he lost his ear? Who remembers that time when Mario Balotelli was through on goal but then decided not to score just because he didn't want to hurt the goalkeeper's feelings? Who remembers that time when Harry Maguire took a stand against all forms of discrimination by taking the knee in the middle of a football match? Who remembers that time when Jamie Carragher spotted a fan driving and decided to help him by giving him a car wash just for free? Who remembers that inspirational time when Bukayo Saka was about to fall from a multi-storey building until Chiellini saved the day by catching him mid-air, putting him into safety and therefore saving his life? Who remembers that disgusting time when Harvey Elliott suffered a horrendous injury and Mikel Arteta responded by celebrating wildly on the touchline? Who remembers that heartbreaking time when Bruno Fernandes only just failed in his mission to be the first footballer to kick a football onto the moon? Who remembers that disrespectful time when Ivanovic finally plucked up the courage to admit on camera that he suffered with a gambling addiction only for the rest of the Chelsea squad to laugh in his face? Who remembers that tear-jerking time when Lionel Messi was told mid-press conference that he couldn't play against Eibar when he moved to PSG? Who remembers that time when Hugo Lloris suffered a horrific wrist injury and Jurgen Klopp thought it was a good idea to just sit in the dugout and laugh at him as he laid there in agony? Who remembers that scary time when Gomez started charging after Eric Dyer and he had to flee the stadium in fear of his own safety? Who remembers that sad time when Pep Guardiola got a bit confused and tried to talk to City's Champions League winners medal when, in reality, there wasn't one to talk to in the first place? Who remembers that disgusting time when Chiellini robbed Saka of winning the 100 metres in the Olympics and then wheeled away in celebration afterwards? Who remembers that time before a game when the Liverpool players just decided to walk past the entire Bournemouth team without even bothering to offer them a handshake? Who remembers that shocking time when Edison Cavani wiped out Jack Grealish by hitting him with a bow and arrow? Who remembers that tragic time when widely respected manager Louis van Gaal just randomly collapsed mid-game? Who remembers that horrifying time when Luis Suarez was told after a game that John Terry had left Aston Villa and was about to move into a house right next door to Suarez and his wife? Who remembers when Steven Gerrard celebrated a goal by kissing a camera despite the fact that the camera didn't give him its consent? Who remembers that time when Samuel Eto'o thought it was a good idea to mock all elderly people worldwide with his goal celebration? Who remembers that tragic time when Junior Hoilett was never seen again after he fell into a black hole in the middle of a football match? Who remembers that horrific time when Lionel Messi discovered at the end of a match that he accidentally booked Gylfi Sigurdsson to be his kid's babysitter? Who remembers that time when Sam Allardyce was in Greggs and the person ahead of him took the final sausage roll that was on offer on the counter? Who remembers when Jamie Vardy made fun of all LGBTQ people worldwide by smashing up a corner flag with a pride symbol on it? Who remembers that horrifying time when Marcus Rashford found out that there were millions of children living in a country called Hungary? Who remembers that truly devastating time when Ezri Konsa was told after a game that the brand new coach for his 7-year-old son's football team was Gylfi Sigurdsson? Who remembers that time when Harry Maguire thought it was a good idea to vandalise stadium equipment by smashing up a camera? Who remembers that time when Kevin Nolan decided to make fun of all vegans worldwide by impersonating a chicken in his football celebration? Who remembers that shocking time when Gerrard tried to take the knee in respect and Demba Ba responded by nicking the ball off him and scoring a goal? Who remembers that disgusting time when Antonio Conte blasted a ball at a female presenter's head and started to wheel away in celebration afterwards? Who remembers that heartbreaking time when Arsene Wenger got sacked as Arsenal manager midway through a match and had to watch the rest of the game in the stands with the supporters? Who remembers when Jamie Vardy decided to celebrate a goal by mocking all paralysed people worldwide? Who remembers when Sam Allardyce laughed at Chico Flores' face after he'd found out that Flores' dog had died an hour before the match? Who remembers that time when Bruno Fernandes celebrated a goal by making fun of deaf children?